Hello and welcome to today's video. Today an interesting one. I was sent this. This is a little pack of 6 10ml bottles from Octopus Fluids Inks, which is a German company who make ink for also a couple of other brands such as the Diplomat inks are made by Octopus Fluids. This is part of their new series. It's called the Write and Draw ink. So basically this is a drawing ink that has been reformulated so that it can be used for fountain pens. So it's pigmented ink. It's got very, very fine pigments in the ink. It's light fast. It's got water resistance, all that kind of stuff. So it's designed for water use. So you can draw with this and then watercolor over it, or use another color over the top of it, and hopefully stay steadfast there. There are 38 colors in this range, and I was sent that little packet of 6 here, which we're going to look at those 6 inks. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things, and then we might as well get cracking. So the first one I have here is a very, very vibrant yellow zebra. Now I'm not sure where a lot of these names come from, but on the bottles, as you can see here, yellow zebra has a little yellow zebra on the bottle. It's very cute. It's very cute, actually. And then we have red koala. Coming from Australia, I love the idea of a red koala. We have green eagle, blue sloth, black elephant, and white polar bear. Okay, I joke, but white polar bear is a white ink, and I've just drawn on with some on some black paper so you can see it. Now, my thoughts on these inks. Firstly, these colors, vibrant, interesting, some shading. That's what they like. They sort of like shading, but they're glossy, they're pigmented, they're thick. They have a slightly slower dry time, but that comes with the fact that there's a binding agent in it that makes it sort of waterproof, or at least very water resistant. Which means that, like, if you are doing artwork with this ink and you put another color over the top, or you put watercolor in it, or that kind of thing, it does mean that you get some sort of like permanence to it. Just as an example, I just also did a little drawing of a wolf howling here with the blue sloth ink, because I wanted to see if you could use it and then water brush it to get the watercolor effect, and you can slightly, but because it has that permanent quality in it, it is binding to the paper quite heavily. This is watercolor paper, and so yeah, you can move it around if it's still wet. It moves around a little bit, and that's how I was able to get some shading in there. But yeah, it's not designed sort of with that in mind, for sure. So these are inks that are designed for artists. What I've got here is I've got it on Tomo River paper, so you can once again see these very vibrant colors. That yellow zebra there, like, if it catches the light, you lose it. It's so glossy. Red koala, another lovely vibrant red. This actually has some like gold sheen on it, which you can't really see here, but it's there. Green eagle, blue sloth. These are the sort of just swatches of it. Then we get white polar bear. I've just stuck a little bit of black paper on here, so you can see it's a white ink. On black paper, this comes up nicely. This is a diluted version. They do say you can dilute these inks, and I sort of just did a very quick sample of that there. So obviously the diluted version doesn't have the same sort of visibility on the black paper. And then black elephant, which is very black and glossy and shiny, and actually I think would look really, really great if you were sort of doing work on watercolors and things like that, and having nice, sharp, crisp lines. The lines are very crisp. Like, if we look at that up close, like, it is a viscous ink. And that actually brings me to a point here I want to make. This is the yellow zebra again, and you can see on the, like, it's sort of, you can see the pigments sort of setting around the bottle. It's very, very noticeable in the white. Like, it's if they're sitting, you need to shake them around to actually get the ink, mixed, if you will. On Tomo River, the inks look good. There's nice, as I said, there's nice shading, nice vibrant colors. I just want to show it on Rhodia, which is fountain pen friendly paper. But you can see with the swatches, we actually get a bit more of a sort of a mottled effect in the ink. And that is, you know, and they have come through in the swatches quite a lot. The writing hasn't come through. You know, like, it's a decent bit of show through. These are saturated pigmenty inks by nature. But what is interesting is these, which are the water tests, which you can see, and actually if where is it? Here it is. This is the white one I did, where I moved it around a little bit where it was still wet, but that was a water test. So I put water on there, I've drawn that, put water on it, let it sit for a bit, and then like dabbed it up. And I've done this for all of the colors, and they all just stay. So that permanence, that sort of water resistance is quite strong. I haven't tested these with bleach because, you know, if you're doing bleach art, that's something you can try yourself. But for just water, so basically if you are, using watercolor over the top or highlighters and things like that, like markers and things, these are gonna stay quite nicely, which I think is great. And, you know, with the exception of like a little bit of sort of the color moving around ever so slightly on the black, it holds together nicely. It's quite impressive, but it is sort of a, you know, a more mottled sort of dull color on the Rhodia. We get that depth of color here on Toma River, of course, which is very, very fountain pen friendly paper. I've also put them here on, this is, you know, student notepad paper, low end paper, really basic. You can see the colors still look pretty good. There's not actually that much difference in color. Often colors wash out on this kind of paper. But because this is quite viscous, it does sort of sit on the top. And we do get that sort of mottled sort of effect in the sort of the more swatchy sections. And there's a little bit of feathering, particularly on a couple of the inks there. But I actually think if you look at the back, they perform certainly no worse than most fountain pen inks. And actually, I think in some ways perform better, particularly the black ink there, being that sort of thick, sort of, very glossy ink. It hasn't eaten through or come through the paper that much at all. So these are interesting inks. Another little thing I did just for the sake of the exercise was just did a very, very rudimentary little drawing here, of course, just to show. So I'd put the black elephant ink down in a triangle, and then I just drew this extra little thing on the top of it in the white, just to show that, you know, for the way where I see this white ink working particularly well, other than say like in those black paper journals and those kinds of things, is if you are doing a drawing in the black or in a color and you want to add highlight to it. So instead of adding like shadow, you want to add a highlight. This is a great way of doing it with the white ink. I think it's actually really cool. And these are fountain pen friendly. Now, I want to say straight up, they say fountain pen friendly. I have a couple of little things I have to put in this here. Okay, firstly, that is not, they're saying it's fountain pen friendly, not me. So if you have issues with your pen, like because of the use of this ink, just be aware you are working with a pigmented ink here. This is not a dye ink. This is pigmented, and it's in a way, and this is not the exact definition, but in a way, you're kind of working with a sort of like a version of paint, like that sort of pigment. It's in the bottle. You can see it in the bottle. You can see it, you know, in the base of these. The pigment is fine, so it will work through fountain pens. You can load it into a converter, you can go through a feed and into the nib. I've had these in a couple of different pens. I had the black and the blue Sloth in pens, and I had no issues whatsoever. But do not let them dry out. Do not let them dry out. This is what I have to say here. If you're using these in fountain pens, do not let them dry out. If they dry out, the binding agent in these inks is almost impossible to break down. That comes direct from the company. It's on their website. So, you know, like if you've got any, you know, like, if you want more information, go check out the website. I'll link to it down below. But what you are getting is you are getting inks that are designed for artwork that work well in fountain pens. They have good flow. They're smooth on the page. You know, slightly slower dry time, but that's the nature of the ink. But they are light fast, they are waterproof, and they're designed for this purpose, and I think that's really cool. And so I'm really glad that Octopus Fluids have created this Write and Draw, I'll show that again, Write and Draw ink set with 38 colors, because I think they're an interesting sort of middle ground between drawing ink and fountain pen ink. I don't think they are everyday ink. But in saying that, Octopus Fluids does have a huge range of everyday inks as well. Here is a bottle of their moss green or moss grün. It is a beautiful green ink, absolutely stunning. And in fact, I got sent a couple of these as well, so we have Sepia Schwartz, which is this like brown gray color, Mossgroen, beautiful green, the Burgundy, the Aubergine, and then a couple of the pastel inks. So we've got Living Coral and Crystal Blue. Now you can see these inks look great on the page. Beautiful saturated lines, sort of nice shading, great sheen. Like look at the sheen there on Aubergine. It's just beautiful. Same as Moss Green there. And these pastel inks are lovely. Living Coral has incredible depth. Actually, just while I'm here, I will bring up the bottle of Living Coral because I don't know if it'll come up. Just have it here in this box. I was very, very happy to receive these as well as the Write and Draw inks. I don't know if it'll be visible, but when you look at the bottle, there's like, as well as this sort of like pinky orange of coral, there's like these lovely hits of like glowing yellow or gold that you see. And you definitely see that in the ink when it's on the page. It's absolutely stunning. Like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And these inks perform so well. I've been using a couple of Octopus fluids. In fact, Aubergine was one I already had in my collection. That's not one they sent me. And I've used a couple of the Diplomat ones. And so Octopus fluids make beautiful inks. Great for fountain pens. So if you're after an everyday fountain pen ink, this is a brand you should look at because the inks are beautiful and they have a great history of making really good quality stuff. If you're interested in using them for artwork, check out these. These are really interestingly priced. Now you can buy them individually in these 10ml bottles for I think about €8.95, or in a 50ml bottle for around I think it's the 16-17 euro mark. So pretty decent value. You can also buy multi-packs of 6 or even the full 38 in either the 10ml or the 50ml bottles. So they have a large range of colors. They have a large range of buying options. I suggest if you're interested in this that you get one of the 6 packs and try them out. They work in dip pens, they work in glass pens, they work in brush pens, they work in fountain pens. They're designed for this, they're designed for art. I think it's really nice, and I think these colors look great, particularly like if we look at them here again on the coloring card, we get yellow zebra, red koala, green eagle, blue sloth, and black elephant. Lovely colors, really stock colors, these ones, and they look great. And of course, if we look at the bottom of this page there, of course, we get white polar bear, which is a really nice sort of, as I said, it's a nice option for black paper use or for highlighting in artwork. If you're doing a lot of black work or colors and you want to add some highlight, this will work over the top. It'll be visible over the top. So they're interesting. So yeah, if you're an artist and use fountain pens or dip pens, check out these Octopus Fluids Write and Draw inks. They are great. They look great, and they have some really interesting properties. Not, as I said, maybe not for everyday use or for extended use in your pens. Don't let them dry out, all that kind of stuff. But for this kind of use, really interesting. So big thank you to Octopus Fluids and Home and Living here in Australia for providing these inks for this video. I'm going to continue to use them, and I'll probably do sort of little updated videos as I use them more and experience what they do over a period of time. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got something, a product you'd like me to look at, or if you'd like to support the channel, please get in touch. I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.